Hi everybody, I'm Rabab Hamoud, and in this video we are going to go over expository writing. But before we begin, I need to remind you of the writing process. The writing process consists of 5 steps. Step 1 is pre-writing for the expository essay. And that means you need to brainstorm about the topic. You also need to create an outline showing the information to be presented in each paragraph. Once you do that, then you move on to your first draft. This is where you refer to the outline to start on your first draft of the essay. Usually students only do these 2 steps and then they give their essay to their teacher to correct. But in order to end up with a great composition, you need to go through all 5 steps before you turn your work in. So step 3 is revising the expository essay. That means you need to read your first draft of the essay. You need to modify and reorganize your work in order to make it better. Once you're done with that, you move to step 4. That's where you edit your essay. You read it, and then you proofread it. That means looking for errors, and you correct those errors in grammar and mechanics. And you try to make it really clear. The last step is publishing. And that means you make a final neat draft of your essay, and you give it to your teacher for feedback. Now we'll begin on expository writing. What is expository writing? Expository writing is a type of writing that is used to explain, describe, give information, or inform. It is also called explanatory writing because a writer gives a detailed explanation of a certain topic, and that's what we are going to focus on in this video, on the explanatory part. A typical expository writing prompt will use the word explain, and from that you'll know that you are asked to write an expository essay. Now here's the thing, many students like to talk to the audience, they like to use you, or they put themselves as being in the essay, and you shouldn't do that in expository writing. So please be sure to use the pronouns he, she, it, or they, and avoid using I or you in your sentences in expository writing. Okay, what is the structure of an expository essay? An expository essay typically has 4 to 5 paragraphs. But since today's focus is on writing about advantages and disadvantages, we're going to focus on 4 paragraphs. What are those 4 paragraphs? Well, one is for the introduction, one is for the pros or the advantages, and one is for the cons or disadvantages, and one is for the conclusion. This table pretty much sums up for you what you need to have in each paragraph. So in the introduction, you should begin with a quote, a startling fact, or a statistic. Then you move on to write a clear thesis statement. Now, if you're able to have a plan of development, then you would either write it after the thesis statement, or it can be part of it as one sentence. Moving on to the body paragraphs. In paragraph 2, you need to explain the advantages. In paragraph 3, you explain the disadvantages. Then, in paragraph 4, where the conclusion is, I usually tell students, let's use TPC, which means we need to restate the thesis in a different way, restate the plan of development if there is one. So T is for thesis, P is for plan, and C is for a clincher. A clincher is a statement that makes something certain or final. So now we're going to begin on the steps of how to write an expository essay. We're going to go through the writing process, so we need to do pre-writing. Well, before we start writing, we read the prompt carefully in order to know what it is asking of us. Then you brainstorm about the topic. If it's an assignment that is assigned for homework, then it's easy for you to do the research and take notes. But if that's not doable, then you need to rely on your prior knowledge and on things you learned in class. And with that information, you make a T-table to jot down all of the pros and cons of TV that you can think of. Then you refer to your T-table in order to make an outline. Be sure to use complete sentences. Okay, here's the prompt. In a well-written essay, explain the advantages and disadvantages of television. So you know from the word explain that you're asked to write an expository essay. So this is where you put your thinking cap on and you try to think of all of the pros and all of the cons of television. But keep in mind, you really just need 3 that you know how to elaborate on in each paragraph. So here are some pros and cons. Now we're going to create an outline that shows the information that's going to be presented. Okay, so after we write the outline, we move on to writing the introduction. Just to remind you, we begin the introduction with a hook and an explanation. It's this part here in blue. Then we have a lead-in sentence to connect the hook and explanation to your thesis. Here it is in black. And after that, we have a clear thesis statement that lets us know exactly what the essay is about. Then we move on to write the body paragraphs. So, body paragraphs 2 and 3. This is where you do your explanation. You begin each paragraph with a topic sentence. Begin the sentence with a transition. So here's your topic sentence here in purple. Then, be sure to begin each major detail from the outline with a suitable transition. I put the transitions here for you in red. And after that, you have to make sure that you actually elaborate on it. And I put here for you the elaborations in orange. Lastly, we have to end each body paragraph with a concluding sentence, and it's here in green. And here's your second body paragraph. Again, we need to begin with a topic sentence, start with a transition for the first main detail, and then explain that main detail or elaborate on it. We do the same thing with the second and the third main details, and we also end with a concluding sentence. Now we go to the last part of the essay, which is the conclusion. This is where you restate the thesis and you write your clincher. The concluding paragraph should reinforce the thesis and the main supporting ideas. But please be sure to follow this. Do not introduce new material in the conclusion. Maybe in Arabic we do that, but in English we do not do that. And here I provided you with 3 tables for transitions to use. So I would like you to pause the video and check them out. And I even provided you with synonyms for advantages and synonyms for disadvantages, so we don't keep reusing these 2 words throughout the essay. Now it's your turn. Here's your prompt. In a well-written essay, explain the pros and cons of any technological invention. other than the television. Be sure to provide your composition with a catchy title and a sentence outline. When you do that, turn it in to your teacher to grade it for you.